Amy Gallant Sullivan, CEO and founder of ESSIRI Labs and creator of the brand Eyes Are the Story. So makeup is nothing new. This isn't the first conversation and it certainly won't be the last. In fact, throughout history, people have had an ambition to draw attention to their eyes through the use of makeup. In ancient Egypt, in ancient Greece, in ancient Rome, already men and women alike wore a lot of makeup. How come?
That's a really interesting question, in fact, because cosmetics, the use of eye makeup, has been around for probably at least 10,000 years. And in fact, in ancient Rome, I love to share this factoid because today, in fact, we're in Rome, but it was about 200 BC, there was a law called the Lex Oppia law, and it regulated how much eye makeup women could wear. Why? Because there was a discrepancy between the upper class and the lower class, how much eye makeup you could wear and how much you couldn't. So the use of cosmetics and eye makeup has been occurring for centuries. It is used for eye health, for protection of the eyes from the sun, for protection of the eyes against demons, and for beautifying. And again, for both women and men. So it's been around for centuries, and I'm sure it will be with us for centuries ahead.
Well, it's very, very interesting. However, since makeup first came into popular use, it certainly changed drastically. And there's many new issues which are more relevant to today's consumers. For instance, there's a craze in greenwashing, all sorts of products all across the board, and cosmetics are no exception. Is there any truth to the all-natural, all-organic cosmetics, and is this synonymous with safety, with quality, for instance?
I like this question because in terms of greenwashing, 100% organic, all natural, I like that when we're discussing salad, what we're eating for lunch. Okay, if we're having a 100% natural, all organic salad, fantastic. If we're talking about eye makeup, it's in fact not safe to use something that's 100% natural and all organic, and likely it's probably almost 100% impossible to have eye makeup that is 100% natural. Because in fact, for the formulations of cosmetics used around the eyes and on the eyes, you need to use some ingredients that are synthetic. For example, beeswax. If you use natural organic beeswax and you have somebody with a bee allergy, they cannot use the cosmetics. But if you use synthetic beeswax, then that person is more likely able to use the cosmetics. But then also if you step back and you say, okay, well, we can't have 100% natural or 100% organic. So we also have to address the safety in terms of preservatives. If you have something that's 100% natural and you don't use preservatives, think of blueberries or strawberries. If you put them on the counter, how soon after you put them on the counter do they become moldy? If you're using eye makeup and use it daily, the bacteria from your eyelashes and your lids are actually introduced to the tube or the wand or the pencil. If you don't use preservatives, if you have 100% natural, all organic eye makeup, your makeup is going to have bugs and bacteria like those blueberries and strawberries sitting on your counter. So you want to use something. So 100% natural, 100% organic, leave the greenwashing for the salad, and let's just make our eye makeup safe.
So there's clearly a lot of question about ingredients. There's a whole world to discuss about what goes into our cosmetics. Is there really any way to know 100% what's in the bottle?
Well, that's a tricky question. So one interesting angle is in the United States, there are about 11 chemicals that are banned for the use and formulation of cosmetics. Whereas in the European Union, there are more than 1,300 chemicals banned for the formulation of cosmetics. What I like to say here is, again, it's challenging because when you look at safety profiles of these chemicals, they're not always addressing what is eye safe. So for example, there are some chemicals that are good for the skin, but they may not be good for the eyes. So we have to step back a moment and say, okay, what ingredients can we use to formulate eye makeup that's actually eye safe? Because there is research that has proven, in fact, that there are a lot of products that we use, both men and women, that can compromise our eye health. So we need to really dive deep into what are people using on and around their eyes, and what are the ingredients in these cosmetics, because they can impact our eye health.
I'd like to talk more about this problem in labeling and sort of what goes into our cosmetics. For example, there's this trend in fake eyelashes, or even removing eyelashes. And there's lots of chemicals involved, lots of poor quality chemicals. There's recycled rubber and plastics. What are the different kind of problems when talking about eyelids specifically? Because they're the first line of defense for our eyes. Is there some specific discussion that we have to have about this?
Well, there are multiple answers to your question. So for example, with false eyelashes, it's not even just the ingredients used to make the lashes, but in fact the glue that is used to adhere the lashes onto your lids. So one of the ingredients is formaldehyde, for example, and there has been research from Harvard that stated the toxicity of formaldehyde on the lids. That's not something that you want to put on or near your lids. So using false eyelashes, it can be particularly compromising. We all understand that we want to be beautiful for a date, a wedding, or a special party. Fine, okay, if you use them once in a while, but it's really not something that would be recommended on a regular basis because, again, the chemicals needed for the glues and the lashes can compromise your lids. But also, it's a hygiene question because women that use the false eyelashes and extensions don't want to clean their lids properly because their eyelashes will fall off. And they actually paid a lot of money to have the false eyelashes put on. So they don't clean them thoroughly. So that's another question which can compromise eye health. So also you mentioned the ingredient BAC, which is benzalkonium chloride. That's a preservative which is also used in glaucoma medication. And this is particularly interesting to understand and illustrate because eye doctors know that the benzalkonium chloride used in glaucoma medication is actually used so it can penetrate the front of the eye to get to the back of the eye to treat the blinding disease. But, okay, we understand in order to penetrate the front, it can compromise the ocular surface. Oof, that does not sound very good. So we're saying that basically this ingredient that's found in glaucoma medication has a reason to be there, but it can also make your eyes more sensitive, but we want to treat the blinding disease. Harvard research has showed that in fact the concentration in the glaucoma medication is about that much. The concentration of BAC, the benzalkonium chloride that's found in the glue for, say, the eyelashes or an eye makeup remover or an eye makeup, the concentration is that much bigger than the concentration of the BAC in the glaucoma medication. So we realized that people that are using products every day, whether it be lashes or eye makeup that use the ingredient BAC in them, can be doing a lot of damage to their ocular surface. So it's a massive red flag. So it's not just about the lashes.
So considering the amount of chemicals and raw pollutants that are present in commercial cosmetics, I'd ask myself, is it worth it to put makeup? Is there really any advantage to running into all of these risks, all of these dangers?
People suffer for beauty, but you really should not be compromising your eye health to be beautiful. So in a lot of mainstream cosmetics, there are a lot of ingredients or even application trends that we would recommend against, but there are new products coming to market that actually have cleaner and safer formulations for the eyes. So everybody has sensitive eyes. There are millions of people that have more sensitive eyes, and there are cosmetics that really can compromise your eye health in many ways, but there are also products on the market that can be used in a safer manner because of the formulations. So it's very important in order to not suffer to be beautiful. So we want to make sure what we're using is eye safe and eye friendly. So it's not that easy always to determine what is eye safe and what isn't, but there are some key ingredients that perhaps we could educate people about that people should avoid when buying eye makeup. For example, the ingredient that we just mentioned, the benzalkonium chloride. That's one thing. Formaldehyde, that's another one that we mentioned previously. There are certain ingredients that really should not be put near the lids. And we have an extensive list and we're doing a lot of research to discover and uncover other chemicals that really should not be part of eye makeup. But we shouldn't stop using it. We just need to educate ourselves better about how and what to use.
So perhaps because there's so many chemicals, so many dangers, maybe there's some easy tricks. For instance, maybe there's some colors or some intensity of makeup that we can use or avoid that sort of helps us avoid these risks.
Oh, absolutely. So basically, what's interesting about color, for example, the pigments necessary to make the bright colors for eye makeup. An attorney once explained to me that, for example, in order to have cosmetics, color cosmetics, approved for sale in the European Union, it's more difficult to have bright colors approved because of the number of pigments and chemicals necessary in order to make the bright colors. So it's easier to receive approval if you have the more neutral colors because there are fewer chemicals and fewer pigments and therefore perhaps less toxicity. So this is what an attorney shared with me once. I'll believe it. It's not that easy to get something approved to sell in Europe, so I'll take her word for it.
So one problem with makeup is that you have to put it on, take it off, you've said sometimes several times a day. So for instance, makeup tattoos, you only usually wear those and put them on once in your life. Could those not be a new solution, or are they just a new problem?
Well, I would say it's a different kind of problem. So there are a lot of reasons why people have eyelid tattoos, some of them for medical reasons, but many of them for vanity reasons. And people do eyelid tattoos, which are permanent, more or less. Also, they dye their eyelashes, which are permanent. So there are many aesthetic treatments currently on the market, currently trending, that can cause a lot of damage to the eyelids, or also the glands in the eyelids. So when you have a tattoo, one, where are you having the tattoo done? Two, what dye are they using? Do they take precautions? And what happens if you have an allergy? What happens if the person doing the tattoo slips? So there are lots of different implications one can have if you're doing permanent eye makeup. So it's not recommended. But obviously, if it's for a medical reason, it's a different discussion. But just for the vanity trends, it's not particularly that safe.
We've talked about vanity, we've talked about beauty, but some people need to wear makeup for their job, for instance. So what are the fields, what are the careers that are more exposed to these dangers?
So there are a lot of careers where people are required to wear eye makeup, but in many cases it's a daily choice of millions of people around the world. And I've also seen a survey that said women start using eye makeup around the age of 12. Men, I know they use cosmetics as well because the bro beauty market is over, I think it's valued at $200 billion or something like that. It's massive. So there was a study in the US that said women use about 12 cosmetic products a day, men use 6. So again, it's not just job related, it's lifestyle related. So our lifestyle choices, the cosmetics we use, the skincare we use, the anti-aging products that we use can all impact our eye health.
So up to this point, we've talked about putting makeup on, but by the same token, aren't there as many problems about taking makeup off? Are there different problems? Is it easier, maybe harder?
What's particularly interesting is I did a scientific poster at a conference a couple years ago, and there was a female ophthalmologist who came up to my poster, and she said, basically, I must excuse myself, I am mortified, I have sinned. And I said, oh my, what? She said, I'm an ophthalmologist, and I'm a woman. I wear contact lenses, I wear eye makeup. I go to bed without removing my contact lenses or my eye makeup. Basically, that's an absolute no-no in so many ways. There are a lot of people that actually do not remove their eye makeup before going to bed, and that can compromise their eye health for many reasons. But also, there are, say, instances with, say, false eyelashes, which you asked me about before. Women don't want to clean their eyelids thoroughly because their eyelashes will fall off. Well, there are lots of implications for both of these, whether you sleep with your eye makeup on, whether you don't remove your eye makeup thoroughly. You can have infestations of demodex, which are little bugs which defecate on your lashes, which find themselves in your mascara tube, on your eyeliner, in your eyeshadow. You have bugs crawling all over your lashes. They're procreating on your eyelashes. I mean, that's just one implication of not thoroughly cleaning your lids. That's kind of disgusting. We want to be pretty. We don't want to be feeding bugs on our lashes. So it's very important to remove it regularly, but it's also very important to be, say, safe in removal. So we also recommend not to use waterproof eye makeup because the chemicals needed to make the eye makeup waterproof are very aggressive, but the chemicals required to remove waterproof eye makeup are even more aggressive. So while we want to clean our lids thoroughly, remove our eye makeup thoroughly, we need to be very cautious about what products we are using on our lids, number one, but how we clean them. Because we don't want to compromise the ocular surface. We don't want to, say, compromise the function of contact lenses, because there are products out there that remove eye makeup that can actually compromising contact lens functionality as well. So you're really compromising your vision by not cleaning your lids.
I like to think we've had a very friendly, very light conversation, but we've talked about chemicals, we've talked about procedure. So clearly this is a serious topic and it's quite complicated. But lots of the consumers of cosmetics are teens and even preteens. So are there specific problems, greater risks for early and sustained use of cosmetics?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people we've seen, say women, start using cosmetics around the age of 12. How do they learn how to use the cosmetics? It changes with generations, but in the current generations, they learn how to use cosmetics by online tutorials in TikTok and YouTube. And so they may not always be safe, but they don't know better because they're younger and they perhaps don't ask their older sister or their mother or their eye doctor for that matter, what is a safe application method. But also the younger they are, they don't have certain protocol habits for cleaning their lids. They share eye makeup because they want to experiment. So the younger the generations, the more experimentation and say the fewer protocols in terms of hygiene and application safety are understood.
Obviously, of course. And to keep this conversation in the present, let's say, COVID has definitely changed the way we use makeup. So eyes have become so much more important because it's sort of the only part of the face that we can see. So could it not be considered a necessity really to use makeup in this sort of era of masks and face coverings?
Well, I think a lot of people say that now the eyes have become the focal point, especially when we wear a mask, because what you see are the eyes. So a lot more attention has been paid to the eyes, but also the eye health. So you have an increase of, say, dry eye disease or a dry eye because of mask-related dry eye with the air coming up from the mask going onto the eye, but also you're wearing more eye makeup because one, you want to feel good about yourself because you're hiding behind a mask, or two, because you're on Zoom calls all day. So you want to wear eye makeup because you have to be present and up close and personal with your colleagues, friends, and family. So the COVID generation has really added focus to personal vanity, self-care, hygiene, but also focus on the eyes. So it's really stepped up even the market for eye makeup and eye makeup consumption.
Of course, very interesting. And I'd like to bring attention to a little detail that actually you brought up several times in our conversation. Usually makeup are thought about for women. They're certainly branded for women. All the makeup publicity is all for women. But in fact, men wear makeup. They've always worn makeup in history, and they continue to use makeup. Are the problems for men different? Are the cosmetics safer? Are they more dangerous? Is sort of the different usage patterns of men different from those of women?
Well, cosmetics are anything that you sprinkle, pour, rub, or paint onto your, say, skin, face, body, anywhere. So men use about an average of 6 cosmetic products a day. So they can be cleansing, hygiene products, or anti-aging products. Some men even use eyelash growth serums. So it really depends on the culture, where they live, again, their lifestyle choices and their age. So the trends in, it's called bro beauty, the trends in male grooming, bro beauty are definitely on the rise, and there are a lot more products that men are using. So I would say they're really similar in prevalence to women in terms of, you know, the uptick in use of eye makeup, because it's becoming a more and more commonplace trend. So I think it's very important for all of us to watch, you know, how are men's eyes being impacted by their increased usage of male grooming and beauty products.
So throughout this interview, we've talked about putting makeup on our eyes, around our eyes, all over the eye. However, there's also a trend of putting makeup directly on the ocular surface, and you also specialize in sort of ocular surface diseases.
Well, there can be makeup on the ocular surface because of fallout from makeup that people wear, and that's never a good thing. So we don't want that, but there are also pretty hideous trends of people tattooing the white part of their eye. So there are some pretty funky trends out there, whether it be tattooing your eye or having jewelry glued on the inside of your eye, or piercings on the lid. So there are a lot of cosmetics and cosmetic procedures that are trending that are probably not too agreeable for eye health in general.
Thank you very much for this very interesting, this very curious conversation, and it's been very insightful. Thank you very much for all your time.
Thank you for having me here.
Open your eyes, what can you see around? Wind of the open sky, over the siren sounds. This is a dream, getting the royal scar, holding a diamond blade, throwing it far. Holding your breath still, you jump the fire. We'll just sit and wait till you see me fly. You know they'll never catch me for it. See me fly. The way I put my finger on it.